Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to episode 28 of Moviefiles 100 Movies in 100 Days. And today I'll be reviewing the movie The Internship. Now The Internship sees a repairing of Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn, both individuals who've worked together before in The Wedding Crashers. And I'll tell you something, this ain't no Wedding Crashers. It's a coming of age picture about two gentlemen who are watch salesmen who then lost everything in the fact that their company had closed down. They then try an internship program with Google and try to see if they can make their way up the ranks and become Google employees, in a sense. The film was directed by Shawn Levy and was written by Vince Vaughn and Jared Stern. And as you guys know, Vaughn is a member of the frat pack with Wilson, so these guys tend to bleed over into each other's movies a lot. And as we've seen from a bunch of MovieFile reviews that I've done, Wilson is a very eclectic individual, but this is kind of standard Owen Wilson. Billy McMahon, no affiliation to Vince McMahon, is played by Vince Vaughn.
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch! What? It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
And Nick Campbell, who's played by Wilson, seek employment after being laid off from their positions of watch sales. Billy then applies for an internship for Google, and in their Juno internship interview, the two individuals attempt to basically give loads of babble and try to say something or other about their jobs, but literally have one of the worst interviews ever, but somehow make it to the internship program, despite not being interns of college age. They spend their summer competing in teams against other interns and literally get put in a team of individuals who are seen as kind of the underdogs in the whole situation. You have one guy who basically has a speech thing going on, another who seems emotionless, and a girl who seems like hand-tied porn dressing up in S&M and literally has never had sex in her entire life. It's kind of hot. The team is also led by a guy named Lyle, who constantly tries to act hip in order to cover his insecurities. I mean, he says stuff that I just want to punch him in the face for. Another intern by the name of Grain aggressively bullies Nick and his team, but hence just again, another thing about this movie that I don't like is the guy who plays him is an American trying to give off a British accent. So he's talking like this most of the time. So instead of talking like this with a Cockney accent, he tends to talk like this all the time. I'm English, hello, rah, 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 and just sounds like a complete and utter tosspot. They then have the first task of debugging and ends up having that Nick is useless on, so hence the other team members kind of try and pick up the slack. They still lose. They then attempt a sporting event where they'd go on a wild goose chase trying to pick each other's tails and then still lose. The team then is focused on developing an app, and Nick and Billy basically ask the team to go on a wild night out together. Takes a few bits of talking to, but they intend to go to a club and spend loads of money, which I don't know they had because I thought these guys were broke. Nihal basically talks about the fact that she has no real world experience out there and that she was just bragging about the fact that she loves all this stuff even though she's never had sex in her life, as I told you guys before. Lyle approaches a dancer who basically taught them how to dance in the Google during a dance class and tries chatting her up. They have a good time and then gets bullied by loads of frat guys who I paid money and I am big and chubby. They all get into a fight and turns into a bit of a nightmare situation before the guys go back and intend to develop the app of choice. So they then make an app that basically stops reckless phone usage. They win the task and it gets the majority of downloads. We never get to see the app in use. Kind of, it's like they said it's happened and they do this app, but we never had. Meanwhile, Nick has been flirting with another exec, Dana, with little to no response from her. Apparently she's Australian, but he keeps saying loads of British things, including apple pudding and pie. Because apparently that's what we like. Billy and Nick then decide to bog down and try and learn about being real Google interns and learning text and code and Java and C++, etc. And then intends to... Then Nick then impresses her when he answers a little Q&A question in regards to coding, as she decides to go out with him on a date. Billy, on the other hand, feels frustrated because he feels lost in regards to his technical support questions. He has no idea how to actually support any of Google's systems, including Gmail, and has a huge mock exam tomorrow in regard. A gentleman by the name of Headphones talks about the fact that he inspires everybody around him and that he'll do fine as long as he learns everything that he needs to do. That inspires Billy, and he goes forward trying to make sure that he actually aces. He then tutors Billy basically on the whole technical aspects of it, and Billy aces the exam. But due to the fact there had to be a bit of friction and conflict, Billy didn't actually put his login number into the system, and hence never recorded any of the conversations so he could be assessed. His team then gets a 0. Billy then feels dejected, and after a phone call from their previous boss in regards to selling scooters instead of actually being interns at Google, he decides to go and take him up on the offer and leave the team. Nick and the rest of the team try to get him back and win him over, and then in an attempt to do the final exam, which has been pitched to them, they had to basically sell their certain aspects of the Google package to this company in order to get them up and running so that they could actually become more than what they are. Nick and Billy then sell the fact that he can actually connect with Google and grow his business, and by doing so they manage to win themselves over a new client. The team then arrives to the final assembly in style, as they always do, because there has to be a big finish at the end. Chetty, who has basically been ragging on these guys since the beginning, also their, I'll literally refer him as their course tutor and lecturer, allows them to present their results at the end. The team basically result their findings, and he takes them in, stating the fact that the team has managed to actually support a growing business, something that the majority of other teams haven't focused on because they're focusing too much on themselves. The whole team gets accepted into Google for after the internship program, where Graham feels dejected because of the fact that everyone, including Headphones, who's actually turns out to be one of Google's main manager, he turns out to basically be the head of Google Search. The latter of the three will turn out to start after the senior years in college, while Nick and Billy will start immediately. As the students depart, Nick and Dana are still seeing each other, as are Lyle and Mariana. Stuart and Neha have formed a romantic connection, and Yo-Yo asserts himself to his mother. So that, my friends, is the end of the movie wrapped up. It's a shame what they could have done with this movie. It had very high hopes and very huge potential, even though that it seems like a very family orientated movie. They don't seem to know what they want this to be. Is it a frat movie? Is it a movie about Google? Is it like a whole tongue-in-cheek thing about internships in general? It wouldn't have surprised me if Google financed this entire film as a promotional material for the company and how the internship program works. It seems rather shaky. The story seems like it doesn't have much ground to it, and even for a comedy it still's lacking in, well, comedy. It's a shame. It's one of those films that I came in thinking that I needed my own perception of this because everybody around me was saying how bad this film truly is, and it truly is that bad. So I'm afraid I have to give this film a 1. Reason being, I could tolerate through it and watch it. You know, I haven't basically walked out of the cinema because of the fact this film was bad, but I do kind of feel cheated. It's not the best thing I've ever seen Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson in together. It's a shame because the two are quite funny. If you're expecting to see another Wedding Crashers, this film's not for you. If you're expecting to see another comedy gem, this film's not for you. If you're expecting to see a movie with story, this film's not for you. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. And in terms of the internship, it was one of those films that I've been busting to wait and see how good this film is, and it truly isn't that good. And as far as the acting goes, well, Vince Vaughn is playing Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson is playing Owen Wilson. There's not really any acting to it. These guys are just generally being themselves, and they are using the general stereotypes that these two play a lot. So it's nothing special, and it's quite sad because of the fact this film had potential to be funny. It had potential, in a sense, with me, to be another Animal House, but you know, encompassed in that whole Google thing. Yes, I know they wanted a happy ending. Yes, they wanted these guys' lives to work out peachy, but we know that's ridiculous. No one's life's going to turn out that great. If I typed in Google now in my laptop, do you think that I would actually have a stone's throw chance to actually going into Google? And I have a little bit of programming knowledge. Nothing fancy, but I have a little bit. I doubt I would. And the fact that these two Joe Schmoes managed to go into Google, learn about the company, and the company is all about being together and team players, is a big bunch of bullshit. I'm sorry, not that great. Film was terrible, story was terrible, direction wasn't even there. The characters seemed really, really raw, and just, it was like trying to put the guys from Wedding Crashers into a Google environment. but they weren't even the same guys, so it kind of screwed things up a lot there. So in a sense, I'm not happy with this movie at all. If you guys disagree with me, if you want to let me know that you think the film's better and that it deserves better from me, all you have to do is like, comment, subscribe. That's it. And by doing so, you also get entered into a competition. So tell me your opinions. I want to know exactly what you guys think of this and what you guys think of the internship in general and what you think of this review. Do you think I'm being a bit too harsh? And I will see you again for day 29 of Moviefiles, 100 movies in 100 days, where I will be reviewing the movie DC's The Justice League Flashpoint Paradox.